For this project, we're going to be creating a minimalist inspired animal sculpture using wire. So it's going to be a chance for us to get comfortable making something out of wire, and we'll use this as a little bit of practice for making wire armatures in the future. Scissors like this would work just fine for the smaller wire that we're going to be using today. That would, definitely cut the wire real easily. If you happen to have a pliers that you could, take out of a family toolbox and use, you could also work with that. There's, probably a part on your pliers that cuts the wire, and then another part that you can use for twisting the wire. You can, work with just your hands too on the wire. So to start with, we're going to just take a length of wire, and we're going to kind of just measure out a length that we're going to use. So the amount that I'd like you to work with for our first piece here, you're going to be cutting off two pieces that are roughly the same size, is not quite an arm's length, so maybe about 1.5 feet. So let's stretch out that, and then again, scissors can be used to cut this thin wire, right? Or you can use a pliers. Do another length that's roughly the same size. We can always cut off extra wire that we don't need in the end. You can set aside your larger spool of wire there. And then I want to take that wire and just stretch it out to make it a little bit more straight. Okay? That way we can kind of start with the wire, not in a curled form, but a little bit more straight. So do that for both pieces. Right? Then we're going to take one piece, and we're going to use this as the first part of our animal. So I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to put it end to end. Right? I'm not going to do an extreme crease at the top there, but I just wanted to make sure that it's kind of even on both sides. I'm going to cross the wire then, keeping the end here even. I'm going to cross the wire, and this is going to be the head shape for our animal. So I'll take that, and then I'm going to do some twists here. Depending on the type of your animal that you make, the twists that you do right here are going to become the neck. So if you do an animal that's got a longer neck, you want to do more twists. I'm just doing a few twists here just to make sure that the wire holds its shape. Twisting wire gives it strength. So now you'll see that kind of oval shape for the head is going to be pretty strong. After I've got this neck part done on the animal, I'm going to take the other piece of wire. I'm going to hold it end to end as well. And for this one, I'm going to pull it and just make a tiny bit of a crease. Right, just to make sure that I know, okay, that's the exact spot that's the middle on the wire. Right? This is the part that's a little more complicated, but I'm going to take that crease and I'm going to put the wire around the other piece of wire here. I'm going to get it right down to the very bottom edge of where the other wires have been pulled out. And then I'm going to take this second wire, I'm going to wrap it around and twist it with the wire that's on the side here. So again, twisting, twisting, twisting. Okay, so now I've got kind of a little twist out that way. I'll do the same on this side. This would become kind of like the shoulders part of our animal. And you'd actually do a similar kind of thing if you were doing a person, right? You can already kind of see, right? We've got kind of some of the ends of wire here that could be turned into some limbs on our animal or our person, right? So then it's going to be up to you. I could either use these wires or I could use these wires to cross over to become the kind of abdomen area of my animal. So I'm just going to take it and I'm going to cross down a little bit lower, and I'm going to make this kind of be where the hips are on the animal. So if it would to be just like the skeleton of the animal, you could kind of think of this as like where the hips are. All right, give it a few twists. So if you were to imagine this being like a bird, I could kind of bend the form of this shape up, so that way these could become wings, okay, off on the top. And then I could bend this down and kind of curve the wire out, and it could start to become kind of like the feet of the bird, all right? So there's a lot you can do just with kind of shaping the wire and forming it in a direction that you want, all right? So as much as you want, you can add some dimensionality to your wire this way, and you could add on like another piece and make those the arms. I'm going to keep it kind of simple here and just kind of show you where I'd go from here. So let's just say that I was doing a bear, for example. All right, I'm going to bring this wire down. It's going to become part of the legs. I'm going to bend this back. I'm going to bend the other one back just at the same distance, right? Because I want to have the same kind of length for the legs on this bear. And then I'm going to take this wire, I'm going to do a little twist right where the paw would be. All right, so just kind of holding that tight, doing a couple twists. All right, I'm going to do the same on the other side here. Kind of choose the shape of the oval that you want to have and do some twists. If you feel like you'd like to, you can kind of take that other wire and wrap it around to get it a little bit stronger. Okay, so kind of bend that out that way. This extra wire that I've got, I'm going to bring back in and make it as part of the bear here. So maybe I want to have a little bit of this wire kind of come up so that way it looks like the bear has a bigger body. And so I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to bend it down, kind of make that just a little larger section on here. So again, you can do most of this just with your hands. So maybe that's kind of like the larger back part on the wire. Bend that in, wrap it around a couple times. Got a little section here that I'd like to make it look like it's more connected. So I'm just going to take that whole leg piece and bend it. So that can become kind of the top of the back of the bear. This extra little piece of wire right there, I could just wrap it around in and just make it part of the body. Maybe I'll just do a couple twists there, and I could certainly just cut off what I don't need. So just kind of twist it on there. All right, so then for the other leg, I've got some wire right there. So I'm going to do a little loop right at the top of the leg here on that side just to make sure that it's kind of connected. But then I could use some of that wire and just go out the other way. So maybe I want to have a line that kind of represents this angle for the body. So maybe I'll take this wire then, loop it around, kind of attach it that way, and then go this way down the body. And I'll kind of just keep that a little bit larger, and I'm going to wrap it around right where that hip section was on the bear, and just kind of do a little curl with the wire just to get it connected. All right. So with the minimalist design, I'm not getting all the details in, but I am trying to get the general shape of my animal. So I'm going to cut off this little extra chunk of wire there. Don't need that. Careful if you're cutting off chunks of wire because they can go flying. And I'm just going to take that little bit of wire and curl it back in so that way it's not as sharp on the edge of my project. All right, so for the back part of the bear here, I'm going to do the same kind of thing with the legs. Now, unless I wanted my bear to be like standing upright, I could do something like that. I can always bend the wire later. I'm going to take these wires, I'm going to have them go out sideways like that a little bit. And then I'm going to think about the length of the the front legs and try to match that a little bit with the back ones. All right, so this is the start to the form for this this bear. From there, I might take another length of wire to get in a little bit more dimension on here. So maybe I want to do more of a detail thing. So something for that head that would help to make it look a little bit more like a bear head. So I'm just going to kind of widen it out this way to begin with. But maybe I'll add on just a little bit of detail here. So there's a little wire piece. I'm going to form a little bit of some ear shapes on here. Little bear ears here. Okay, and then I'd like to attach this on for part of the head. So I'm going to take this little detail here, and I'm going to wrap it into the head that I had. So take that wire and just kind of wrap it around. If you do happen to have a pliers, sometimes that can be a little bit easier for wrapping the wire, so you can get a little bit of a twist going on with the wire. I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. Okay, so we got a little bit of bear ears going in there. From there, I could take another piece of wire and I could form that into another part of the bear. So maybe I wanted to have just a little bit more going on with the body part of the bear. And I can take some wire, cut it off there. I usually like to do this this thing where I make them go in half like this. So then for this part, I'm going to attach it, instead of on the front, I'm going to have some of this wire kind of attached into the back part of the bear. I can attach it down there and I can work with it in a different kind of way. So I'm actually going to use just a little bit of this for a tail for the bear. So I'm twisting the wire on. Just going to have a little bit of a tail there. All right, so some final forming here. I've got kind of a real basic look, more of a minimalist look. Kind of added a little more shapes on here just to kind of represent the body of the bear. I'm choosing not to kind of keep it just like real kind of stagnant, and by that I mean like not really a movement at all. So I'm kind of moving the limbs around. Maybe the bear is like sniffing something, picked it up off the ground. So it's not just kind of so boring looking at it. So you can kind of decide how you want the limbs to work, but you know, get kind of a cool form on it like that. And then that's going to be what you'll photograph and turn in. So that's your minimalist animal sculpture.